Hello again, America. Thank you for tuning into One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focused on the truth. I'm your host, Johnny D, keeping my eye on the truth for America. Thank you again for tuning into One Eye News for our debut episode. Our topic today is exposing the threat, the number one threat to America. Please don't forget to follow us on Twitter and support us at Patreon. Share us, like us, retweet us, and help us get the word out. We are a new independent organization, and all contributors and or sponsors that like our content and want to join the revolution to take back America's institutions are welcome and much needed and appreciated. It is crucial that we build our brand to expand our channel with additional staffing such as writers, researchers, producers, editors, reporters, and our efforts to join a few remaining uncompromised media stations, writers, reporters, radio shows, and so on. There are actually a lot of good radio shows that are still reporting the news, but only a few on TV. Maybe only one. Anyhow, we will be doing 1 hour segments, and this first episode will be multiple segments, so please tune in for the entire series so that you can be fully informed on the number one threat to America today. That is what our episode is about. Our first episode is going to be shocking. These so-called news organizations have been immorally and ethically, they've been compromised morally and ethically for decades now. And it is time for the American people to say no more. Tune out from the mainstream and tune into One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focus on the truth, with Johnny D keeping an eye on the truth for America. And not making up stories like the mainstream media does on a daily basis. Help us bring back American values to news commentary and reporting. Thank you again for listening to our introduction episode and tuning in for our debut episode. You will not be disappointed. Again, our mission is to reinvent, restructure, and replace the current corrupt mainstream media institutions in America by exposing the mainstream propaganda media and replacing it with a new system of fact-based reporting, commentary, analysis, and opinion structured on truth, logic, and common sense. Brought to you by One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focus on the truth. Okay, folks, well, before we expose the number one threat to America, the American people, and the American way of life, we would like to clarify that this is a commentary, opinion based on hard news and facts and based on my personal assessments of factual public information. If I happen to misspeak or use public information that you disagree with, or if I use language that is offending to you, or if my perception of the facts or reality offended you, then please tune out. Okay? I've never identified as a Republican or a Democrat. I have agreed with some issues on both sides throughout the years, but one thing is clear. My qualifications for this position are simple. First and foremost, I'm a patriotic American citizen which loves his country and is proud to be an American citizen even on our worst day. Okay, unlike a lot of other folks around, I have spent decades studying the media, politicians, their MO, and examining the functions of our institution and the crooks that run them. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. I believe that is a famous quote, and it is so true. This is a call to all Americans to take back control from the lobbyists, politicians, bureaucrats, professors, journalists, media personalities, talking heads, fake news stations, and publications, and any who would give themselves unto the wolves, and all the others that would fight to keep you misinformed and doing their bidding while bending you over again and again. Well, bending us over, let me say. We can all get up and get involved where our strengths lie. We do not require a degree in journalism or communications to recognize logic, common sense, morals, values, ethics, character, and so on. And a need to finally say, hey, enough is enough. Come on. Come on, folks. Let's take our country back from those who have run it into the ground and weaken her to her enemies. For this reason, we must reemerge as American patriots and begin to insert ourselves back into the institutions of politics, academia, from K to college, the financial institutions, and so on. No one can ever, really not everyone, has all that much time to spend or to, commit that much involvement. So then we must be realistic. And so we must at least get out and vote to remove these terrible thieving politicians and the social vampires that feed on Americans to bleed us dry. I mean, we have to do everything we can. If we can't, commit 40 hours a week to it, of course, most people can't, then we have to at least vote and remove these people from office. Okay? We can begin to deprogram ourselves and our children and look for alternative educational systems or start new systems that are, inclusive, but at the same time are also exclusive to teaching real American history, ethics, morals, and so on, which is what they're not getting in today's schools or colleges, for sure. So, we need to invest in that, in our children, and get those kids the proper information that they're being denied. So that's a real big problem here in America right now. So you get the idea. There's no reason we can't begin this movement to take our country back and join and support President Trump and America. Okay, I'm Johnny D, and these are just some of the issues that we will tackle here at One Eye News in order to expose the number one threat to America. We will need to lay out the how and the why before we get to the who. So we're going to give you a lot of information that is not being presented. There are some whispers here and there, but for the most part, this information is not being presented. So we are going to present that for the American people. American politics are really a smokescreen for the mutual agreement between the two parties. Really just to keep it a two-party system and to share the power and, maybe alternating every now and again. So they all get to keep their, snouts in the trough, so to speak. So having said that, the Democratic Party and the liberals have controlled America for the last 50 years, and that's a fact. 50 plus years. And just look at the mess we're in, folks. Come on, all you got to do is drive down the street and you see homeless people everywhere. It's just it's an epidemic. Okay, these civil servants are no longer serving the people. They are serving their own agendas at the expense of the American people. And that's disgusting. So we are actually serving them, and unwittingly, I might add. We are actually their servants, and they want us to stay ignorant to the truth so that they can continue to rape and pillage America. It's pretty simple, folks. I know everybody in America does not have time to investigate these people. I have been blessed with that time. So I have spent decades looking and observing and studying all of these institutions and all of these people who are lying to us. Anyhow, so what I've been saying for decades, and I think this is so true, that politicians, they may start off in their careers with good intentions. Anyhow, the politicians, when they arrive in Washington, they arrive with a suitcase full of dirty laundry. It's all crumpled up and wrinkled, and they don't have anybody, to wash their clothes for them and whatnot. So they're wearing dirty clothes to the job because they don't have time. It's an 18-hour day and all of that because they're running and jumping through hoops. Anyhow, by the time they finally leave Washington, well, they don't have a suitcase full of dirty clothes anymore. They're leaving with a semi-truck full of dirty cash. It's so true. And, you see it every day if you look at these civil servants who are supposed to be making, decent money, but not the kind of money that allows them to live the lifestyles that they are currently living. And actually, that is our cash. It's not dirty cash, it's our cash. So we should demand that any politician who is living beyond their means is under investigation immediately and assets frozen if there is any wrongdoing whatsoever, which we know there is. So, come on, people, let's throw out the snakes and vampires that feed on the American people. Let's get them out. Hey, like I said, I don't doubt that a percentage of them have good intentions. And it's not 100% of them are all, snakes and vampires. It's just the majority. I'd say 90%, anyhow. Like I say, they may have had good intentions when they started out. But soon, once they were in Washington or in the machine, they find that, if they want to advance, they're going to have to look the other way. They're going to have to do this or that to play ball, or they will be removed by the powers that be. That's the game. And unfortunately, nobody's willing to talk about it because they're all in the game. And if they expose the other team, they're exposing themselves. So, it makes sense, right? It's very simple. They're not going to rat on themselves. Anyhow, we're going to get to all that. But I do not sugarcoat. I'm going to be very blunt. And I am what I am. I will not tailor my opinion or my speech to please others. I don't articulate my position in Ivy League speech, and I will rarely use $10 words. Okay, I think everybody's tired of that. So I will speak plainly, and I will use adult language from time to time. I will be clear. Okay, adult language is, in some cases, foul language. Yes, I would agree. However, if used in a descriptive manner in order to enhance an emotion or a passion for the issue under discussion, then, I would consider that to be adult language and therefore appropriate in some instances. We are adults, if we're adults, if you're an adult listening to this. So if you're a snowflake, tune out. Anyway, so if you're easily offended, or if you are the type who requires pet therapy or safe spaces, please tune out. If you're a snowflake or a person that requires safe spaces, but you still have an open mind, please listen. But I have no time to coddle the weak, and it is not my objective to offend you. My objective is to offer another perspective that you may not have considered, or that you may have previously disregarded. Keep an open mind. I'm going to expose a lot of information here that, we have uncovered and we have been, studying for a long time. And especially over the last year, we have really found out a lot about what's going on. So let me address some of these whiny talk show hosts, comedians, who just can't seem to get over themselves. And they continue to cash in on President Trump by disparaging him and our country. You know who you are, like Seth Meyers and Stephen Colbert and John Oliver and Bill Maher, who is the whiniest of all and the most delusional of all, who has been sold out. This guy's been sold out for so long now that I really think he believes his mindless bubble of liberal, tree-hugging, fake bleeding heart delusions of grandeur, in which he believes himself to be in tune with the American people. Well, he certainly is not. So before we get into it, let's just examine Bill Maher, the cheerleader propagandist for the left, for just a quick minute. And we will revisit him later in more detail. Bill Maher, he gave $1 million to Obama when, if he really believed in his own rhetoric, then maybe that $1 million would have went to the homeless epidemic in our country. I don't know. That homeless epidemic was created by Obama, and I will talk about that later. But anyways, maybe he could have given it to transgender reassignment surgery candidates or something like that needs the cash. Okay, because Obama certainly did not need $1 million from Bill Maher. But, Bill had to make a big show of his allegiance to the savior of the Democratic Party. So he could spotlight himself in an egotistical act of self-proclaimed selflessness. I mean, it's too much. Anyways, he basically gave to the rich and not to the poor or to the downtrodden who need it. And then he went out and shouted from the rooftops, "Hey, everyone, look how wonderful I am. I gave the Savior $1 million. And now I'm awaiting my kudos and my accolades for my sacrifice to my God." Come on, Bill. Listen, I've been watching you, Mar, since you came on. And, I've liked some of what Bill had to say from time to time. And we do agree on some of the issues. But come on, man. What are you doing? I don't hate Bill Maher. And again, I have agreed with him on many issues throughout the years. But now he seems unwilling to accept any truth about his Savior. So, I don't know. Bill, how do I put this? You referred to yourself as a house, and I'm not going to use the word that you did, and I don't think you're a racist or anything for using that word, but, come on. You referred to yourself as a house slave. Let's say that. Okay. And that is very telling, Bill, because, Bill, that's what you are to the Democratic Party. Okay? Let's be honest here. These are your words. So you said it. And now I'm basically pointing out my perspective of your own words. So, Bill, pull your head out of your ass, please. You're embarrassing yourself. I don't know. If I was to say that word, I'm sure you would be the first one to call me a racist. Anyhow, because that's how you guys operate. You want the pass, but hey, anybody else makes any kind of an error, they're a racist, a bigot, or whatever. So, I don't know. Here's some quotes that Bill Maher has given. Just 3 very short ones, and I'm highlighting these for a reason, but he said, "Trump is the most vulgar human alive." Trump is the stupidest person alive. Come on, Bill. And then he goes on to say, Obama is the smartest person alive. Really, Bill? Obama is the smartest person alive? Man, take another bong hit, Billy boy. What job, let me ask you this, Bill. What job did Obama ever have? Question mark. Before he was gifted the presidency? Question mark. Rocket scientist? Question mark. Okay, I don't know. I don't think so, Bill. So maybe, I don't know, guys like Stephen Hawking would dispute your claim, as I do. I don't know. Bill, maybe you want to think that one? I mean, is Trump the stupidest person alive? Look at your statements, Bill. I mean, if you're calling him stupid, then you got to put yourself right in that category. It takes one to know one, Billy boy. So, oh yeah, and one last thing, Bill. I thought you weren't religious, man. I can't tell, because you seem to have a God, and his name is Obama. Anyway, having said that, I would love to come on your show and debate you on my positions. Okay? If you're willing to face some ugly truth about your God anytime, I would love to come on your show. As a matter of fact, I'm challenging you right here and now to a discussion on my viewpoints. So let me know, Bill. I will be here. I'm waiting, anticipating. anyhow, I doubt you'll ever contact me because you wouldn't want to, look bad. By some nobody come out of nowhere and make you look bad. That wouldn't be so good for your sponsors. Anyhow, I would also like to extend this challenge to any of these so-called reporters, media commentators, comedians, or whomever would challenge me on my positions, including and foremost Rachel Maddow. Well, I don't know what to say about this person. I'm just not sure how or why anyone would ever put this person on TV to misinform a nation. But I don't know. I'm not a media mogul and signing the checks, so I just still can't figure that out. Because, man, she is way, way out there. Anyway, let's move on to other people that I would extend this challenge to as well. Wolf Blitzer, anytime. Anderson Cooper, Chucky Todd, Chris Matthews, George Stephanopoulos, Van Jones, Joe Scarborough, and Mika. What a pair. Dan Rather, Lester Holt, Tom Brokaw, Matt Lauer, Brian Williams, Scott Pelley, Jim Acosta, John Harris. I can't remember any others that I may have left, and any of you that I may have left off. Well, let's go with the ladies of The View. I'd love to come on your show and debate your points. And John Oliver, Seth Meyers again, Steve Colbert, Trevor Noah, Jim Jeffries, and any of their bosses, like this guy Andy Lack. Okay. Now Andy, I think his name is ironic because he is seriously lacking in morals, ethics, and values. And so what's going on once again, this is a disgusting thing that we are witnessing to the American media and the institutions that the people are running into the ground. For instance, like Jeff Zucker from Harvard, who thinks he's above us all. Okay, and he appears to be nothing but a fascist propagandist. I'm just saying what I see. Okay, now I'm not trying to personally attack Mr. Zucker. However, he has left himself open to these attacks by participating in, let's say, less than ethical practices. So come on, Jeff. We all know what everyone called you when you were a kid, because I think they're calling you the same now, and it rhymes with Zucker. Okay? Apparently the shoe fits. So my question is, one, that I already know the answer to. Would a real news organization make up stories and mislead America? Question mark. I don't think so. But, I could be wrong because, it seems like all news organizations today are participating in these unethical practices. What's your answer, Jeff? Crickets, huh? Yeah, I don't ever expect you to answer that question. Anyhow, I do remember a day when if a reporter made up a story, he would never work or be accepted in journalism again. He would basically be blackballed. And what happened to ethics here in our American media institutions? They've been sold out and they've been hijacked by these characters, these clowns like, Mr. Zucker. Anyhow, they went bye-bye long ago. And by the way, that is one of the reasons that I personally am here right now. And we are coming for you, and we are armed with the truth. We are here to drive you out with the truth, Mr. Zucker. But you can't handle the truth. So, obviously, I'm not sure if you have children or what you tell them about, what you do, but I wouldn't want to face my children if I were you. Anyhow, please, America, join in this fight to take America back. It is a worthy cause for all of us. I promise you, by the end of this episode, you will be amazed at what you learn if you haven't already been informed of these things. So, let's get back on track here. So, Mr. Zucker, again, what's your answer? I have not heard any response from you regarding, the latest round of corrupt news reporting by CNN. Why? Why have you not responded? What are you afraid of? Mr. Zucker, what are you afraid of? Okay, I would extend this challenge to you as well, to debate me on the facts, anytime, anywhere. But, I doubt you will ever take any responsibility, because that's apparently what they teach little boys at Harvard. So come on, Jeff, step up to the plate, sir. It takes a man, listen, a man takes responsibility for his actions, Jeff, and it appears that you are not identifying as a man. I mean, again, I'm trying to, not make this a personal attack. These are simple observations that I am making on what has been presented in the public eye. So these are perceptions that I have formed from learning about you from other news media, okay? And looking at you a little more carefully than maybe just one little report might inform a person on. So what exactly do you identify as, Jeff? Just so I'm clear on how to address you in the future. Because if we ever do come face to face, I would love to debate you. So let's do this, Jeffrey. I'm going to expose you for what you are. So you might as well come out of the shadows and talk about it now. Because I'm going to expose you for exactly what you are. And that is an anti-American citizen. Yes, Jeffrey, I'm calling you out. You are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Period. Your actions speak volumes, okay? And we need to remove you from this organization and from ever participating in any news organization after the actions that you have, perpetrated on America. So your collusions with the Clinton campaign to fix the American presidential election is an anti-American act. Is it not? Am I wrong here? I do not think so, sir. You are an anti-American citizen. The press has a moral duty to report the truth, not to make up stories, and therefore you are no longer the press. You are now the propagandists. That's it. It's very simple, folks. Look at the truth. Look at the facts. Mr. Zucker has hijacked your community, your country, the way the information is presented, and makes up stories. That is unforgivable. Okay, yes, America is a place of second chances. Go away for a while, Zucker. Figure out another thing to do, because you're done here. Okay, we're coming for you. Are your acts of anti-Americanism considered to be treason? I'm no attorney, but these seem to be crimes against America and the American people, yet everyone just says, hey, look the other way, nothing to see here, we are at no fault. It's just, just one rogue contributor who leaked stuff to the Clinton campaign. There was no directive from me. Oh, bullshit, Jeff. I'm betting dollars to donuts that you were the one behind all that. Okay? Because we've recently seen that you are the one behind. Okay, we're going to get to that, but now we know that this was, the directive from you to continue the Russia story. We know that this was your directive, ordered by you, to keep the fake Russia story going and bury the truth and any other stories for that matter. I mean, any story that mattered on that day or those days, you're burying just to serve your agenda, to maybe, yes, for revenue. That's probably your number one agenda, but I don't think so. I think your number one agenda is an anti-American agenda, and that is to attack the duly democratically elected president of the United States. Another anti-American action. So this is disgusting, sir. Simply disgusting. And you should be tarred and feathered. Now, hold on. America, this is not a call for anyone to actually tar and feather Mr. Zucker. But I will say this. If our founding fathers were here today, they would probably do it themselves. Okay? Because, Jeff, you and CNN have wiped your ass with the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and any other American document or laws that, all real Americans would have been fired for and prosecuted for. I mean, come on. The hypocrisy continues to know no bounds. And you, Mr. Zucker, are a hypocrite and an anti-American citizen, and the people that you employ are the same. For instance, Donna Brazile, who was the individual working for CNN that was leaking and working for the DNC and leaking the questions to Hillary Clinton so you could fix the debates against Bernie Sanders and therefore fixing an election. Okay, Donna Brazile should be in prison with Hillary Clinton and many others as well, I might add. And maybe you should be too, since you are clearly a backstabbing traitor to America. You are an anti-American and should be ashamed to look in the mirror. Seriously, how the fuck can you sleep at night? I want to know from you why you are doing these treacherous actions against my country. Apparently, you don't love this country. I do. Okay, so why are you ruining the American media platform? What gives you the fucking right, Jeffrey? Seriously, are you trying to get back at all those cool kids who whooped your ass back in the day like President Trump is doing now? Okay, again, this is not a personal attack. This is simply a perception and an observation that I have formed from watching and listening to you, President Trump, the mainstream media, and, looking at the actual facts. So, seriously, President Trump is beating you down as depicted in the infamous beatdown tweet. Okay, that, it highlights the fact that President Trump is beating you down, just like the video showed. He's kicking CNN's ass. Every time you hit him, you might, sting him, but he knocks you down. Okay, that's all that was. That was not a call to violence, but it was a spotlight on the ass whooping President Trump keeps giving CNN, America's fake news station. Period. And that is it. I don't know what else to say except for, hey, listen, Mr. Turner, Mr. Ted Turner, please, if you ever hear this, listen, sir, I can do a better job than your Harvard elite who has run the CNN into the ground. Okay? Well, anyone could really. So, I mean, it wouldn't be difficult. The bar is so low. Anyways, I would propose that you give me a shot. I will turn it around for you, Mr. Turner. I will turn CNN around and I will make CNN great again. Come on, give me a shot. Anyway, I'll make you respected again. Of course, the first thing that would happen is that I would come in and I would clean house. It would be a clean sweep. I would throw out all your rotten apples, and then I would pick new fresh apples from the tree, right off the tree. And then they haven't been compromised yet. They haven't been bruised and rotting from the inside, or bias, or an anti-American citizen. Seriously, Ted, if you don't like me, sir, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Mr. Turner, if you do not like me or what I am talking about, then find someone else. Anyone. But Zucker, come on, what's going on, man? Get rid of this cancer on your company and America, because we will be calling him out every time we get an opportunity to do so. And CNN. Whenever, CNN may never recover if you keep doing what you're doing. So consider this. Consider this, and, consider this also to be my resume. And I will make you a ton of cash, period. Hit me back, Mr. Turner. I have ideas, good ones. Also, if CNN continues to act like they are the president, hey, and all the incompetent people that CNN shoves onto America continue to serve up lies and make up stories for ratings, then CNN will eventually be labeled as AAFNN. Yes, I believe that's AAFNN, Anti-American Fascist News Network. So, I don't know, you may as well change your handle to AAFNN now, because we are coming for you, and we're coming for your spot in the media realm. Okay, I know this is this may be considered a pipe dream, okay, but we are David picking a fight with Goliath. And I know it's not wise to fight giants, but I've been doing it all my life, so let's get it on, Zucker. Let's get a debate going. Come on, let's do it. I would also challenge any of these so-called reporters or talk show hosts to debate me on my viewpoints, backed up by my facts, anytime and anywhere. I am coming for you, and I am going to expose your anti-American actions, rhetoric, and propaganda for just what it is, and that is anti-American. Now, I want to be clear. I do believe in dissent and political discourse when done appropriately and void of violence. Peaceful protests are, what America is all about. So we have the right to disagree. We just don't have the right to manipulate our institutions for political and personal gain. Which is exactly what we have now, and it's been running amok and unchecked for decades, and even more so over the last 8 years, really. The content and objective of this first episode is to expose the number one threat to America. And, the public enemy number one is already here, folks. They're already here, and it is not ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Hamas, Hezbollah, or any other Middle Eastern Muslim terrorist organization. This will be very controversial material that will shock anyone who dares to investigate it. The truth is an ugly thing that many people really don't want to hear or see. And they say, as the saying is no one wants to see the sausage being made. Well, I do, damn it. I want to see what the hell I'm being fed. Okay, that makes sense, right? That's common sense. I want to know what's in that sausage. I want to know the truth. I don't want to be sugar-coated and beat around a bush and lied to. Okay, a good analogy is if you've ever been cheated on it, and I'm guessing about 80% of the world may fall into this category. That is not fact-checked, by the way, so I can't say that number is accurate. So, anyway, maybe you knew, but you didn't want to believe. Maybe you felt it, but, you pushed the truth away because it was too ugly. But either way, it's really the same principle. Many folks just don't want to hear the ugly truth. And they really don't want to hear the ugly truth about what I am about to reveal in our debut episode here. It is extremely explosive, factual, and shocking. Okay, we actually chose America's birthday to launch this station for the American people for a particular reason, because we're patriots, and we also realize that we understand that no one will really know of us until we reach the right people, and this may really take some time. So if and when anyone ever does hear this, Mr. Trump, President Trump, please don't forget to follow us on Twitter and contribute at Patreon. Well, not contribute, President Trump, but please follow us on Twitter. So let's get started. Let's kick this off a little bit here. First, I'm going to express some facts about our former president, Barack Obama, once the savior of the Democratic Party, and now the destroyer of the Democratic Party, apparently, which I might add is the party of slavery, Southern racism, Jim Crow, and on and on and on. But before I do, I would first like to take a moment to describe my position on the new commander-in-chief out of respect for the president, whom I feel is tremendously, he's a tremendously misunderstood character, as am I, by the way. Let me make that clear. So I may be, in our introduction episode, I kind of outlined what I anticipate to happen if anyone ever does hear what I'm talking about here. And I will be attacked. But that's all well and good. I will accept those attacks. Anyhow, so let's talk a little bit about our new commander-in-chief. I've been observing President Trump for over 30 years, and I believe he does understand what this country needs, and especially now to climb out of the hole that Obama and the rest of the bureaucrats and politicians have put us in over the last 8 years. Okay? I also believes, I believe he loves America, and he wants to do the best for America, and he wants to be the best president that he can possibly be. I mean, simply, his ego demands it. His ego demands that he fulfill his promises. And by the way, unlike any other politician I have ever seen, especially a president, and he is doing it. I've never seen a president follow up. It's alien to our political process. Anyways, he will not allow for the corruption to continue. He will expose the corrupt bureaucrats, lobbyists, and politicians who continue to rob the people. And this is why they are attempting to crucify the current president without the cross. They're trying to crucify the guy. I mean, this guy, he is so transparent, he has nothing to hide, okay? President Trump wears his heart on his sleeve, and he will never sugarcoat things or misrepresent his position. He may leave things open-ended, and that's a negotiation tactic that is very advantageous for America. So let's realize that. He has tactics that he uses that is benefiting you and me now. And you can see it in his foreign policies. He's a guy who has never had foreign policies. He's killing it. He is killing it. He is taking control, and he is making it happen. Okay? He is a mover and a shaker. He's not a sit-arounder. You pretty much know exactly what he thinks and how he feels on every topic. He's not afraid of the truth because he is clean. He has not been compromised by the lying, thieving weasels in Washington. Okay? Simply put, he has not been compromised. And he doesn't need their payoffs. He beat the corrupt political players. He beat the corrupt media. And he shoved it in their faces. Congratulations, Mr. President. You are an inspiration to me personally. I mean, and that is why I'm doing this now. I could be sitting on my ass and, doing nothing, just watching the world go by. But there's too many important issues here, and there's too many unprecedented activities going on. Okay, and one of the main ones is with the press. So again, the media is dead. We're here to replace them. So, we don't need to tune into CNN. We can tune in to One Eye News. Okay, America's Eye. Focused, laser focused on the truth for the American people. Okay, well, let's get back on track. A lot of people say I don't like Trump because he's a rich asshole. Well, that may very well be. I don't know him personally, so I cannot make that statement. But having said that, I will say I want a rich asshole in charge. I'm sorry. That's who I want in charge. I want a guy kicking ass and taking names. I don't want some guy kissing rings and bowing. Okay? And by the way, it is possible to be an asshole and a good guy simultaneously. And how I know this is because I am one. And I'm also a good guy too. So we can debate that later. But I have studied this man. And I believe his intentions are good. And he really does want, he really wants to be nice to people. He really does. But, Scarborough and Mika, he was their friend. He was nice to them. And they stabbed him in the back. But, when people constantly attack a man, what do you expect a man with two balls to do? Okay? Simply put, what do you expect a man with balls to do? He does not seem like the kind of guy who lets his wife tote his balls around in her purse. Okay? So, I'm sorry if that's a crude way to put it, but that's just the way I see it. And, that's how I verbalize it. So, he's got a spine. And any man with a spine will only take so much. So, Scarborough, Amika, get a life. Okay? Now, let's move on. President Trump. We're going to be talking about President Trump. I was watching President Trump, and he was discussing a lot of the similar issues that he ran on, and he was discussing those in 1987. And when I was watching him and listening and studying him then, I said right there and then, hey, if this guy runs for president, he can win. And this is the kind of guy we need. I've been waiting for over 3 decades now for someone to challenge the establishment and to shake up Washington and to expose the media as the lying propagandists that they have become, particularly over the last decade, for instance. But I have always predicted that it would take a person with big balls and deep pockets to beat the established system. This established system has ruled this country since the early 20th century. The last president, President Kennedy, was the last president that attempted to challenge the system and expose the government corruption and explode the CIA. And we all saw what happened to him. So, again, President Trump does not need their payoffs, their favors, their backdoor deals to enrich himself. He's already rich. So he doesn't need all that like all the other politicians. And apparently, I believe, they are apparently more greedy than than President Trump was as a businessman. So I believe that President Trump has an ego that will not allow him to fail. Now, that is not a disparaging remark. Ego, you have to have it to succeed in these environments. So, and his ego is not even close to as big as our former president, Barack Obama's. And we'll talk about that at another time. But President Trump will not be deterred by the constant personal attacks on his character, his family, his personality, and his appearance. But he will knock you down if you hit him. So pick your battles when you fight a champ like President Trump. He is a champ. Make no mistake. He will knock you out. I mean, he's like Muhammad Ali, who used to tell his opponents exactly what he was going to do to them. And then, he would tell them what round he was going to KO them in. And that's what Trump does. So he's, again, he's like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee would tell a guy, hey, I'm going to put this foot upside that side of your head. And then he would do it before the guy could think about it. So this is Trump. He will beat you at your own game. We have seen it. If you push him and if you poke the bear, you're gonna get swatted. So that's just the way it goes. Recognize who you're picking a fight with, CNN. Anyways, President Trump has a vision that drives this media wild, and the vision is truth. And I love watching the media go nuts when President Trump speaks the truth. such as, he was right. And let me just stop right here. And let me point out that President Trump was absolutely 100% right. And I know I'm going to get flack for this, when he stated that millions of voters voted illegally. Okay? Let me repeat. President Trump was correct. Okay? There were 3 million votes separating him and Hillary Clinton. I would wager that 3 million illegals alone voted in California. So I think that number would be a lot higher than 3 million. And they're trying to get those statistics now, but the Democrats don't want to let that out, because then, of course, he will be proven right, just like he always is. Again, President Trump was correct when he made the statement or suggested that President Obama was spying on him. That is correct. That is a true statement. That is a fact. Okay, now, this is one of my theories, as I pointed out, that I will denote when these come up. This is a theory that has not yet been proven, but will be proven. Okay, if we ever get to the documents that will prove it. And of course, President Obama is an obstructionist, so he has sent a lot of proof, into hiding, so to speak. So we'll discuss that later. But President Trump was also correct on Comey's obstruction. President Trump was correct when he said Clinton is guilty. President Trump when he exposed the mainstream media as lying propagandists who make up stories and fake news every day. President Trump was right about NATO. President Trump was right about Paris and the Paris Agreement and Angela Merkel and on and on and on and on. Okay, so we'll get to all that. But the media never wants to discuss what the president was right about. And I love watching the media go nuts. I love to watch President Trump humble the media, by exposing their unprecedented corruption and constant compromising of ethics for cash. And that's what's going on. They're compromising you and your country for cash. They don't care what happens. They just want that cash. And, they do care what happens. Let me rephrase that. They want Trump out, gone. That is their number one objective. Cash is their number 2 objective. Okay? But I can never get enough of watching the media eat crow. It is a wonderful thing to see. That someone showed the public what is true. That someone is your president, Donald J. Trump. Having said that, I will also say that the media and the left is going crazy because, they've looked everywhere to find dirt on Trump, but they came up empty. I'm going to tell you why they came up empty. They can keep on looking, but this guy is squeaky clean. And I know how that sounds to, the critics out there and whatnot, but seriously, President Trump is squeaky clean. And that's a fact, other than what we already know about him, which pales in comparison to Bill Clinton. And I will detail that later. So, but okay, here's a comparison that I think is both comical and so true that just drives, it just really, I think it's a perfect analogy, a perfect comparison. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Trump is, if anybody's, I'm gonna use an analogy from a movie. One of a really great comedy movie, one of the greatest, featuring 2 of the greatest comic minds ever, Rodney Dangerfield and, anyway, so let's talk a little bit about this. Bill Murray and Rodney Dangerfield are 2 of the greatest comic geniuses ever. Okay, first and foremost. So, anyways, I just have to say that. But Trump is Rodney Dangerfield's character in Caddyshack. He's loud and rude and boisterous and says whatever is on his mind, and he doesn't care what anybody thinks about it. Okay, he just tells you what he thinks. His very appearance and his very existence reviles the Ted Knight character, Judge Smales, who is Clinton and Obama, and the rest of the pretentious assholes at the club are the Democratic Party and their mindless followers and the entire left. These are the people who look down their noses at this unrefined, crude citizen, and especially some rich asshole they think is disgusting, and who does not deserve to be that rich asshole because he ain't one of them. Okay, that's it, man. That's the perfect analogy. They are appalled by President Trump shoving their faces in their own shit, and I love every minute of it. Okay, so, what has now transpired with the election of President Trump, who is the real rebel, renegade, and maverick underdog that has shocked the establishment in Washington and led a revolution of true American patriots to rage against the machine that is Washington and the bureaucracy that controls the masses with their lies and propaganda. Okay? On November 8th, 2016, the majority of the regions of the country recognized the fact that both the parties have hoodwinked them for their entire lives, leading to the most improbable political upset in American political history. Listen, folks, actions don't lie. Look at President Trump's actions. He puts America first and fights for better deals for America. President Trump is a never leave a man behind kind of president. Obama was always the fuck him, leave him behind kind of president. That's who Obama is. That's a fact, unless you happen to be a terrorist or an anti-American. So check that out for yourself. Oops. I went a little too far there because we're going to cover that later. So let's get back on track. We're coming up to our 1 hour mark, and we're going to cut off at 1 hour, and we're going to do our second segment, which will be available immediately after the first segment. They will both be available at the same time. And if this takes 3 parts, then we'll do 3 parts. If it takes 4 parts, then so be it. Because there's a lot to cover here. And there's just so much information that it's just really hard to keep, straight with every day the way that it is being divulged and just... It's like a sieve, so it's straining through, and we have to keep our eye on the truth here, folks. So we're going to cut off this first hour, but before we do, let's just reflect a little bit on what we've covered, and I must say that what is coming up will be very revealing and shocking, and it will put what we just covered, all of the topics that we were just covering in the first hour will be enhanced over the second hour, and this will be a lot of very valuable information. So thank you for tuning into One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focus on the truth. Please tune in to part 2, spotlighting the number 1 threat to America. Okay? I'm your host, Johnny D. Please follow us on Twitter, contribute at Patreon, share us, like us, retweet us, and help us get the word out. Okay? Remember, our mission is to reinvent, restructure, and replace the current mainstream propaganda media that has sabotaged America. So please follow us, contribute, and help us get the word out. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in a minute on our second segment of episode 1. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Johnny D, keeping my eye on America for you.